Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. I'm Syafiran Nurpatiwi together with Restiti Dewi Februari and Yasmin Adi Inayah. We would like to present our work group assignment about the final examination about the cross-cultural communication barriers in a workplace. So the first we will talk about it. Cross-cultural communication barriers such as anxiety, uncertainty, stereotyping, and ethnocentrism are caused by inadequate cultural knowledge and the lack of intercultural communicative skill. Adequate training in cross-cultural communication and exposure to the other culture is essential in eliminating this barrier. Next is the problem that we will face on the cross-cultural communication in a workplace. So the first is misunderstanding and language barrier. For example, we work on a cruise ship with the situation of sea workers who are people from various countries. Language barriers can often lead to misunderstandings, which are major barrier in a multicultural environment. Overall, any language barrier slows down communication, much less creates misunderstandings that render communication ineffective. The second is norms and rules. When our CEO workers come from other countries that have norms and rules that are different from our culture, in multicultural workplace, people very often fail to understand the norms of different cultures. In some situations, social hierarchies can create barriers to communication. And then number 3, we have belief, values, and religion. In several countries, religions dominate life in a way which is unimaginable for most Americans. For instance, people from Muslim culture might want to pray many times a day, in accordance with their values and beliefs, or they may demand religious holidays on the days they are forbidden to work according to their religion. In a globalized working environment, every person's belief and values depend on their culture. The differences between these values should be respected in a workplace, and where possible also not ignored.
Cross-cultural communication varies in the workplace. Body language. When we work and interact with colleagues from different countries, some countries have the distinct type body language in communicating. For example, Americans tend to make eye contact, and when the does not happen, they usually take it as a sign of avoidance. On the other hand, in some Latin and Asian culture, avoid eyes a sign of respect. Similar situation occurs with shaking hands. People from particular countries do not feel comfortable shaking hands, while Americans view and a lack of respect. The next is the solution. The solution about cross-cultural communication barriers in the workplace. Respect individual difference. To know a person's culture and recognize its extent of difference between cultures is the key to effective cross-cultural communication. Many employees in the company are people who come from different races and religions who have to do respect. To keep an open mind and recognize and embrace that difference of perspectives and understanding are completely natural. It is essential to act intense what it tells, understanding of the message and how they perceive it. The problem of word selection. Of cross-cultural communication in the workplace, a major obstacle of using insider language, jargon, slang, or some abbreviation that someone may be familiar with, but others might have a problem with understanding. Thus, it makes communication complicated, and this can leave the reverse feeling foolish because he or she may be afraid to ask for clarification. Therefore, the level of the language we use should be selection careful. It is appropriate to avoid ambiguous word of jargon, and instead to use the terminology which is understood by everyone. Be aware of body language. Nonverbal cues can be ambiguous and their meaning can vary with respect to culture, context, and intention. Random gesture can be interpreted to have some significance when none was intended. Moreover, style of dress can also have a hard influence on nonverbal communication because it can affect people's perception and stereotypes. On the other hand, a smiling face while talking and making eye contact, not for more than 5 seconds, with the listener appropriate and use of body language.
And the next is our opinion. Cross-cultural competence is defined as the ability to participate in a set of activities the core of which happen to a common communication code. This ability is aided by knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Successful development of cross-cultural competence rests on 3 pillars. These components that facilitate orderly cross-cultural communication would be cross-cultural sensitivity, cross-cultural awareness, and cross-cultural ability. The affectionate aspect of cross-cultural communication is identified as intercultural sensitivity. This aspect is to be developed in order to equip individuals with the ability to appreciate other cultures' differences. Through the development of cross-cultural sensitivity, an individual will be able to grasp self-concept, neutrality, and self-perception. The cognitive aspect of cross-cultural communication is known as cross-cultural awareness. Intercultural awareness results in enhancing not only cultural awareness but also self-awareness in the process. And the next is suggestion for the subject. We should accept a culture in which one understands the other person's values and beliefs and respects it. The top-level management should commit in building organizational climate without conflict and difference of opinions. Improving the employees' cross-cultural competence through cross-cultural knowledge training and insisting on the mutual benefit policy, which is a win-win solution for cross-cultural population in workplace. Culturally competent involves a lot of learning about the cross-cultures, which will overcome the cross-cultural barriers. And this is conclusion about the subject. While cultural communication barriers exist, overcoming these barriers is possible and will ultimately lead to a stronger workforce. Multiple cultural perspective allows for better understanding of the customer and it encourages creative solutions to problems. Learning to communicating and draw on the positive aspect of each culture benefits everyone. In the multicultural workplace, typical of doing business in a global economy, cultural barriers to communication abound. Besides the obvious difficulty in understanding people whose language is different, there are other factors that challenge people who are trying to work harmoniously with others of a different background. People from different parts of the world have a different frame of reference, and they may display emotion differently and display different behaviors. And the last is our conclusion. Cultural and language barriers sometimes cause misunderstanding among the employees. However, just because you don't speak the same native language as your colleague, or you don't share the same cultural standards, doesn't mean you can bridge these barriers. Overcoming cultural differences and establishing effective communication within the team implies being willing to adapt, but also educating yourself through cross-cultural training and language courses. I think that's all about our presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.